Hello, my creeplings. We're back again. Was recommended this one by a friend of mine's son. Yes, it's another campy horror comedy. It's an older one, but this was really a fun trip. This is Motel Hell from 1980. Okay, again, have the notes. This was a first time watch for me. Again, like I said, really campy horror comedy. I only recognize two actors in this one. And we'll go over that when we get there. It could just be because this was, put out the year I was born, and I'm just not familiar with a huge amount of people pre that. If you have any, notes or comments, let me know down there below, because this cast was actually really good. It's bunch of people I don't really know, but they really all fit their roles very well. So, the long and the short of Motel Hell, we have an older sibling couple, not as in couple, not like, family tree does not fork, but as in a couple, as in two. Older sibling, younger sibling. There's actually a third sibling, but he's not in on this in the way that they are. So Vincent is our farmer, and then his sister Ida run a motel called Motel Hello, and they also sell Farmer Vincent's smoked meats. The long and the short of it is Farmer Vincent smokes meat like, Leatherface does. This is human flesh mixed with other things. I guess this family has been doing this for decades. And Ida's in on it. I mean, they all crazy. Except for the little brother. The little brother is their local sheriff, and he apparently ran away when he was 11. He had no clue. So, we get into it. We've got Farmer Vincent manages, what he does is, since the hotel's near the highway, the motel is, he'll, late at night, shoot out car tires, or find a way to get cars to stop on the road, kidnap the victims. Very interesting, they slit their vocal cords and plant them in the ground, so they're not dead until they need to be. They continue to feed them and fatten them up like hogs. This is like a horror cartoon. Like, we're talking Looney Tunes levels of craziness. But I loved it. The guy who played Vincent, Rory Calhoun. The name sounds familiar, but in all honesty, I did not look up what else he's done. And I regret that now, because he made that perfect corn pone, old-fashioned farmer type. Like, he was perfect. Now, the woman who plays his sister Ida, Nancy Parsons, right? Yes, Nancy Parsons. She is, known from stuff like Porky's. She is probably one of the more visible 80s character actresses, and she just does all kinds of wild and crazy parts. If I see her in the cast list, I know I'm in for, something funny or something memorable or both. So, clap to her. Her Ida was very memorable. We have the first catch, I guess you'd say, the first victims are an older biker and his young lady friend. Now, she ends up becoming our ingenue. Her character's name is Terry, and she's played by an actress named Nina Axelrod. I didn't recognize her for much, but she hit that ingenue stuff just right on the head. Well, Vincent, for some reason, decides not to put her in the garden, but to spare her, and this weird romance kind of starts, and you're like, now, I understand the appeal of an older man. Do not get me wrong. There are some silver-haired daddies out there. But this girl's like, I think that's all she options is older men. Because the biker she was with was much older than she is. And I think Farmer Vincent's on the high end of my cutoff. I think every woman who's into an older man and correct me if I'm wrong here, has a cutoff at a certain point, because either you're looking at it in the line of you don't get much time with them because, people have an expiration date, or things don't quite work the way they should. And when you're that young, and especially as a woman, your sex drive's just gonna grow. That can be a deal breaker. Sorry to get very risque, but anyway, this was a real May December thing. I mean, guy wasn't too bad looking. He might have been considered a silver-haired daddy. He didn't do much for me, and I know some of you out there, Dawn, Kylie, the girls from work, Al, Bundy, I know you're going to call me out on this one. We all know I like older men. Specifically, one older man. But I don't think that my age difference and his age difference is as big as this Terry girl and Vincent. I have said my piece. I know you guys are going to call me out down there, so we'll get into that later. If it happens. So, I digress. I'm sorry. So we've got so she's kind of like recuperating after being told her boyfriend, the biker guy, has died. And we meet Vincent and Ida's younger brother. What's his name? Bruce? Yes, Bruce. How could I forget that name? Bruce is the local sheriff. He is much younger than these two. He also takes a liking to Terry. So we've got this kind of weird love triangle thing going on. Bruce is much more age appropriate for Terry. We've got Ida and Vincent doing their thing over here, let's see. I think the next set of victims is a rock band. They just look like a bunch of stoners. Although, look out for a very young John Ratzenberger from Cheers. The guy who does all the Pixar voices, like Mac and The Abominable Snowman. He's one of the victims. It took me a minute to figure that out, but when I did, I'm like, oh, cool. What was he? Was he Norm or was he Cliff? I think he was Cliff on Cheers. He was the mailman. So, pre-Cheers, John Ratzenberger was in this. So, yay, cool. We have a cameo, or actually kind of not so much a cameo, but a part with Wolfman Jack. Now, you youngins out there may not know who Wolfman Jack is. But those of you my age and older, you know what a treat this is. Wolfman Jack was a DJ / television host who hosted this music show called The Midnight Special in the 70s and I think into the early 80s. Well, he did all kinds of stuff around that. He'd often cameo as DJs and things like that in movies. He has a very distinctive voice. He did a cover of Hey There, Little Red Riding Hood that I highly suggest y'all look up, because not only is it kind of creepy in a good way, but it's a hoot. But yeah, he plays a preacher in this one. Let's see, then we have two girls get caught on the road. Now, this is not a very gory film, but how he catches some of these people using either the road or lures them in with the motel itself, very interesting. So, we got them getting victims and planting them in their secret garden, as they call it. Ida's just a huge cartoon character. God, I loved watching her. Yeah, this is my thinking face. Sorry. Where do I want to go with this? So we've got the kind of love triangle thing building, and then Ida she stages herself drowning in a lake to try and kill Terry. You can tell there's some kind of jealousy going on here, because I guess it was Ida and Vincent against the world for the longest time, and now that Vincent wants to bring Terry into the fold, she's getting jealous. So when Vincent saves her, I say saves her because I'm still not 100% sure if this was completely staged or not. She throws herself at him. He's like, no, not until we're married. At least he's got some good old-fashioned values. Sorry, I had to roll my eyes at that. Cannibal, good old-fashioned values. Okay. So they go to start preparing for the wedding because they're only going to get married in like 3 days. Yeah, he says, I'm not going to, screw you until we're married. She's like, okay, are you asking me to marry you? And it's like, I guess I am. So they can decide to get married. Ida and Vincent and Terry go to celebrate. Ida drugs Terry champagne so they have more time to prepare for the wedding feast, which means pulling people out and killing them and smoking them. This is where it starts getting really cartoony and really crazy. And I probably should have gone through and watched this again. But Terry finds a smokehouse and figures out what they're doing. Ida finds her. And now it's time to really learn our family secret craziness. And there's a fight. The victims that are alive get out of the garden because the soil had been loosened from them pulling the current victims out. Bruce shows up after he starts figuring out what's going on because he finds the motorcycle that Terry was on, some cars in a lake, and other random things. He starts putting things together and he's like, my brother's behind this. My sister's behind this. This is not good. He goes to confront them and get Terry out because Terry, no, they're killers, they're murderers, blah, blah. We end up with the victims taking Ida out. And Vincent and Bruce chainsaw dueling in the smokehouse. And Vincent, for some reason, has decided to put a pig head on as a mask. So pre-saw, we have pig head mask. It is crazy. The chainsaw, when I say this is cartoony, I mean this is cartoony. But I grew up watching Looney Tunes, so I love this shit. Excuse me. We've got the Terry's tied down to it's like again, cartoony shit. Conveyor belt that goes up to a saw blade, like every Bond villain, Dudley Do-Right episode ever. It's not running yet, though. They're clashing with the chainsaws. Eventually, somebody knocks the lever or whatever, and Terry's, no, I'm gonna die. We take Vincent out with a chainsaw to the side. He's running around with this thing sitting out of his side for a long time. Good effect on that. Bruce saves Terry. Vincent dies, bequeathing Bruce the motel and his secret garden. They hear a scream. They go run out to the secret garden and they find Ida head down in the garden. And they're just like, oh my God. And Bruce is like, there's going to be an investigation. And Terry's like, you know what? I would just burn this whole thing to the ground. And he's like, really? Arson? And she's like, this place is evil. Evil. And we close on the Motel Hello sign, finally blowing its the neon O out, and it says Motel Hell. I'm definitely recommending this movie if you like cheese. I am definitely recommending this movie if you like early 80s slashers. I am definitely recommending this movie if you like Nancy Parsons. This thing was a campy, fun, fucking roller coaster of just coolness. I believe I found my copy on the Internet database. I'm relatively sure that it's easy to get a hold of, though, if you go to your library, they've got a decent DVD collection. It wouldn't surprise me if other streaming platforms had it, or you could find it cheap someplace, like eBay or something. I think maybe hold on. Check the notes. No, it does. I don't have it on here. I wouldn't be surprised if Shout Factory has put out a version of it, so maybe you can find it through their streaming or their website. I really need to look into Shout Factory for a lot of other stuff. So, yeah, totally would recommend this. This is a hoot. Again, it's not very gory. But the story is just so out there. I was like, mwah. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys with a high recommendation to watch Motel Hell from 1980. And again, comments, recommendations, y'all want to call me out on that older man thing, down there. Like if you want. I'm just having too much fun with this. I get to find gems of new movies. And this one was a gem. So on that note, I'm going to say good night, my creeplings. And I'll see you next time. Bye.